the shape, the same shape, over and over and over. Defining the back end of the main aircraft was easier than defining the front. Why? The back end has so many 90-degree right angles and overlapping panels that it cannot accommodate for every single lighting situation presented in the atmosphere. It gives its presence away often. The front end revealed itself by studying the hours and hours of footage. I didn't think for a second that the front half would look anything like this. I expected a simple, sharp delta edge. Instead, it's very smooth and rounded. If there is a cockpit, it's relatively small and is located near the very front section. I have a feeling it is an unmanned drone though, like the smaller craft. The wing tips on these craft very well could extend outwards via internal stored wing panels. I am not 100% sure. Finding the sharp angles on the outer wing edges was a surprise as well, especially since the nose of the craft is so rounded off. Another telltale feature that gave it away is the fan-shaped engine that sits towards the back of the hull. This propulsion system does not point to the back of the craft, as it sits about 10 to 20 feet away from the back end. It points perpendicularly up and down and can be seen on both the top and the bottom of the craft. The surface is surprisingly full of details. Paneling edges are almost common to find in still shots and even video at times. The V-shaped support beams that run from 2 points at the rear to a single point in the front have also been documented. Some areas of the back edge are very blocky, and some rectangular pylons have been seen. The two rear vertical stabilizers are thick, meaning their edges are not sharp, at least towards the back. They have much more width than you'd expect on an aircraft. But there is a reason for this, which I will explain later. The original plans for the Aurora mentioned a stainless steel outer surface. I have also read about either one side being painted black or only the front edges and rear edges being painted black. As for the actual color and the normal visual spectrum, I have no idea. A word about the name Aurora. I believe that the name Aurora does not necessarily refer to a certain aircraft alone, although it may. However, I think the term refers to the system of craft and their mission, the design principle, not what's stenciled on the hull. At one point, I thought the main aircraft was the lost F-19 or the X-19 or the cousin of the F-117 or the B-2 while they were in development. The nicknames I gave the smaller craft early started corresponding with names given to actual experimental aircraft many years ago, such as the Dart, the Manta, etc. However, I found it important not to follow the intentional deceptive trail of supposed black projects, their names, the budgets, the smoke and mirrors. I don't care if it's called Senior Citizen, the SR-72, the XSR-73,000, or the Big Wedge of Cheese. I just knew what I was seeing was real. I could not care about the individual names, but the term weather machine sufficed. On the left is what you see in the sky, or what they want you to see. Fluffy white clouds. On the right is actually what is there. A main aircraft hovering or moving slowly with its nose up in the air. At the bottom of the craft, jets emit the cloud-like material, probably strontium, into the air, while the cloud top-shaped rear edge churns the material into billowing cloud formations. I believe that it's the 4 round identical engines on the back that emit this material. However, the stream that comes from the back forms into striations of 8 to 10 lines before it completely billows into a single cloud unit. These devices are literally spraying clouds. The center large fan-shaped turbine serves several purposes. 1. It stabilizes the tilt of the aircraft while in this low-level mission. 2. It also emits the cloud-like material as exhaust that is vented ahead of the aircraft or behind it. 3. This coiled turbine is electrically charged. It is the center of electricity and probably gravity for the airframe and its satellite ships. It acts as a magnetic slingshot for the smallest of the craft. The various craft. As mentioned, the smaller craft were fairly easy to find. The jet signatures left in the sky are small, sharp, and repetitive. Scale has always been a difficult thing to decipher. I had nothing to compare them to in the sky until very recently. However, seeing the small craft is something that is not uncommon these days. I see enough to gauge that the size is about 10 feet across. They zip in and out of the clouds at a few miles per hour. I've read that the manta-shaped craft are about 50 feet long. The manta craft are about 1/3 to 1/4 the length of the large host craft, which makes the large one about 200 feet long. Finding the craft in satellite photographs has possibly confirmed this assessment. After having the time to research the possibility of information on these small craft already being available, I realized that yes, some of the descriptions I've been outlining fall in line with photographs of secret aircraft projects. Therefore, it could take an aviation expert minutes to tell me which was which, but any aviation expert I have contacted seems to be working for another cause. The lineup of ships are as follows. There is the huge blimp pictured at the top right. The largest craft of this system type is the aircraft carrier, the host, the base of the two-stage system. The next size down is very similar to the larger craft, but not in the shape of the front, but the similarities in the back. It seems to have only 2 of the 4 identical round engines found on the larger craft. However, it does also have the square corner thrusters that the large one has, and also has a center fan-like engine that shoots up and down perpendicular to the surface. I would guess that one was designed after the other, just at a different scale. This size craft is found almost always attached to the rear sides when it is docked. Wasn't there mention of an Aurora 1 and 2? Not that the names matter. Though one of the new craft to emerge in video has been what is commonly deemed as the TR-3B. Its regular triangle shape is different from most of the others in that it does not look like an aircraft from the Batman series. It attaches to the large craft on the underside near the rear. Then there are the variety of craft about the same size, but come in different shapes and are probably experimental aircraft from the span of decades. These can not only attach to the large aircraft carrier itself, but also attach to, recharge, and propel from the middle-sized vehicles. It's a chain. The next size up is the launch platform for the next smaller size down. And when they pop off, usually in an arc, they emit the cloud-making material stored within their hulls. Then there are what I term as runners. These are probably the latest technologies, small, compact, and very fast. I've seen several shapes not only with my naked eye, but in many videos. It was slowing down the video that revealed these. I initially brushed them off as mosquitoes, dragonflies, gnats, etc. But once I tracked them, I noticed a pattern. They run between the main aircraft carriers at a fairly fast rate, and some are faster than others. Most of the time, their paths pivot or change course when they get very near the center coil. It's like they're touching base with the ship. Sometimes they skip along only the back engines of the large craft, and sometimes only along the sides, and then move on to the next ship. I believe what they are doing is running airborne electrical currents between each aurora system. Why? That will be covered in the section called the transfer.